in my mind, I was thinking like, man, I love being black. If there was any other race, that if I could come back and choose a race to be, this is what I would choose. Despite the oppressions, despite the adversities that we've gone through, I love being black. I love being black. Like nothing against any other race in the world, but man, I love it.
I'm the last heartbeat of Michael Brown. I am the last prayer Sandra prayed before her feet left the ground. The last tear from Tamir Rice. The last breath Eric Garner would breathe before they took his life. I am the
We asked 13 different women 5 compelling questions. Let's see if we can compare and find the similarities in these different women experiences.
Thinking about us historically, just going way back when, like we were brought over here with no resources. And then from that, we eventually became business owners, like during segregation. And you had to know that during segregation, we were not just freely given business loans. Yet some kind of way we made things happen, like we always do. I think that Black people are like the kings and queens of innovation. Like we make sure that we do what we have to do to keep it pushing.
The Black culture has always been lacking. So therefore, that caused us to be more creative. And it's a method of survival also.
As far as whether it was the neighborhood, whether it was we were stored away in a certain place, we were divided. We were pretty much put at a standpoint, like our families, when they were given certain foods, you pretty much had the bottom of the bottom.
Now pigtails, oxtails are now this delicacy. When it's all we had was thrown leftover things. And now all of a sudden it's the thing to do. Right. But we just work what was given.
Being in the box of people who are underestimated, it's very prideful to be able to overcome the things that people thought that you wouldn't.
Really coming from a struggle, like they had an outhouse they had to use the bathroom in. She was one of 10 kids. My dad was one of 10 kids. She lost her 2 brothers at the same time to a drowning. Like her going through those life struggles made her who she is, who made my sister and myself who we are, because I guess she felt that struggle and she didn't want me and my sister to feel through that. And I am blessed enough to say I have 2 parents that raised me and they had the same type of goal. Sometimes when I hear my friends talk about, man, we used to eat mayonnaise sandwiches and and I'm just like, what? Vienna sausages, what? Like, I didn't have that growing up. So is that a common Black struggle? You can't be Black unless you went through this. Your parents couldn't provide this for you and they worked this hard to do this, working 2 and 3 jobs. I mean, in a sense, I wouldn't say I don't feel Black, but I feel like sometimes me and a friend might have that disconnect because I can't relate to your struggle. That's my struggle. I'm struggling with...
Not struggling.
Kind of, I guess, full circle, where some people, they might not have, you said that your parents didn't know anything about scholarships. So you had to figure it out and go to school and do that. My mom just said, sign here, do this, turn this in, and that's what I did.
It's almost like we have to wait until popular culture tells us that what we naturally like is acceptable, and then it's good. We could be doing it for years, but once they say it's cool, it's cool.
It don't make me feel any type of way. It just makes me think like, there they go again. They with the shit. Because, we've been rocking braids forever, and that has always been kind of deemed as unprofessional or ethnic. And then you'll have, what's her name?
Baudelaire, who wore, her hair in the braids. You see people who wear color in their hair. They do silver, they do red, they do blue. I mean, growing up, I heard, that's ghetto and you can't do stuff like that. How you gonna get a job, or how you gonna be able to maneuver through life with blue hair? And it's almost insulting that it only is fashionable when someone who's non-Black decides to wear it.
Really? When Africans have been wearing braids forever, when they pretty much introduced that style of hair to this country,
ghetto until proven fashionable. So if it starts in the black community, because like I said, ghetto has negative connotations and so does black. So anything that I believe we create or innovate is deemed ghetto, and then until it makes it into mainstream fashion, then that's when it's accepted.
You know, we've been doing this forever and have been made to feel like what we're doing is ghetto. What we're doing is not acceptable.
Right. I feel like, you know, who's to say what's ghetto and what's fashionable? I also will say that, you know, being black in the fashion industry, I feel like we have to really work hard to get there. And it's like we have to hold back from expressing the way we want to look or the way that we want to dress. So I feel like that's personal. Like, you can't, like, who's to say what's ghetto and what's fashionable?
All it took was for one white celebrity or person to do it to make it be an acceptable thing, when we've been shunned about it for so long. All it took was for, you had people say that, talk about black women and their lips forever. I have full lips. I was told, I went to a predominantly white school through middle school and high school. I was always told my lips were big by white people. Laughing, oh, you got those big lips, you know. Okay, so what are people doing now with injecting their lips with collagen? Ghetto to proven fashionable.
I don't necessarily like the term saying that I have to dumb down my blackness, but I do feel like I'm still, even to this day, in situations where I've had to assimilate.
I would say that there's a time to be professional. I would say that there's a time, and me being black doesn't mean that I can't be professional. If I speak without using ebonics at a particular time doesn't mean I'm not black. Or if I go into a room and, you know, there's other cultures around, I'm probably going to speak or act in a way that I would act in a professional setting. Now, when I'm around my friends or something, we can you know, talk and be us.
When I answer the question, no, I've never had to dumb me down because I've never changed who I am initially upon any meeting with any person. Because my blackness is who I am. I'm always gonna be my core, like wherever I am.
We had this conversation with some of our white friends, and they were like what? Like, they were confused. And I was telling one of the girls, I said, so if I come up to you and we say something, I'm like, oh, that's just straight Getty. And they're like, oh, it's ghetto. That's registered in their head. My white friends would have missed it.
I wouldn't say that my flavor of language changes versus who I'm talking to, because I'll talk the same way to my white friends that I do my black friends. But being around some of my black friends growing up, I was known as the Oreo, the girl that talked like she was white, quote unquote.
Right.
Like, I was proper. I articulated my words. I used, quote unquote, big words.
Oh, she's too good because she says this one way and I say it this way. And I say street and not street. I say straw and not strawberry. You know, so a lot of people, I mean, I was made fun of. And
I found myself conforming, trying to learn slang and trying to speak slang just so I could be accepted.
I would go to my mom like, why do they keep calling me a black girl with a white inside? She was just told me, they just mad because they don't know how to talk.
I've always been taught, hey, before you go into this interview, make sure your hair is presentable. Make sure, you know, don't wear it in a high poof, especially when I was natural. Don't go with any dreadlocks because you may not get the job.
It's all a perception, because perception and reality run a very thin line, and unfortunately, us Americans, us people, we have conditioned ourselves to look at the outside, and we make an assumption off of what we see now.
I got asked the question, are you a girl or a boy before? And then I don't feel like it helped because I was a darker complexion. Speaking properly, using, you know, subject-verb agreement, you know what I'm saying? And them listening to me thinking that I'm supposed to be talking slang and ghetto and, you know, it didn't help.
There were situations where during that time, I could wear my natural hair. I liked it, you know, and I got many negative responses, especially from my family.
Right.
You know, because I cut off all this long perm hair, and they could not understand that. You know, for my mom, it was, again, you're going to end up standing out. For her, it was, you're going to be attacked anyway. She never said that, but that's, she was protecting me. You're going to be attacked because you're a black woman. And now you're doing this. It's going to draw attention. She never said those things, but it's a way of protecting. And then she couldn't understand it. It was nothing that she ever did.
Me being fair-skinned makes me easier to swallow, if that makes sense. A lot of people think, or a lot of white people think that I'm mixed. So it's almost like I got a partial like acceptance card by being fair-skinned. I've never really thought about my fair skin being an advantage, but within the last few years, I've kind of been like, oh yeah, people think I'm Barack Obama of my job.
Especially from black brothers, you know, the saying of, I would hear them say to me, or you look pretty to be a dark-skinned girl, or I only date light-skinned girls because they're prettier. So back then it was sad to me because I was like, wow, you know, my black brothers have been conditioned to think that if a girl has darker skin, that she's not pretty enough. And even coming from guys that have darker skin than me, like you don't even love or appreciate yourself. Like you're darker than I am, but you're saying you don't like dark-skinned girls. But that's something that has been taught to you. I don't feel like that's something that came natural to you.
I do see to where people are like, when they have a certain phone call or something, they put on a voice like, oh, let me put on my white girl voice or my white person voice.
I was kind of pushed off a little bit, right, in a sense to where my sisters thought that I was more favorable when it came to either attention or like better. I was just better in a sense because I was more light skinned.
It's a lot of people that are suffering childhood scars because of feeling like they were too dark. Right. And I had conversations with dark skinned women who are ultra sensitive about it. Because in your household, you was made to feel like you wasn't as cute as your other lighter skinned cousins, but that's within our community. You know what I mean? That's just, I just totally feel like that's within our community.
You're cute for a black girl, but because I was dark skinned, you don't want to be my boyfriend. That kind of thing. I mean, seriously. They liked me, but I was dark skinned.
Right.
It didn't throw me so much. I never wished I wasn't. Right. My very best friend was yellow, good hair. Her whole family was like that. Did I envy sometimes the attention? Maybe. But I never wished I wasn't dark skinned. I love my skin color.
I would get talked about a lot as a kid growing up in my neighborhood because most of the people I was the lightest person in my neighborhood. So everybody in my neighborhood called me white girl. That was just it. That was like you as a kid, you always have that ultimate jank that they know you finna fight about. And that was always the jank. They used to call me white girl.
If you talk to a lot of white people, they're not looking at lights. They're just not looking at that. Well, he's light skinned, he's dark. Like racist white people don't with black people. You know what I'm saying? Discriminatory white people don't with black people. They don't. I don't care how, whatever. You gotta think about it. Whole slave masters had children who almost looked white and did not with them because they had black mamas. Think about how deep that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't fool with you because your mama black. I know you, like you look almost as bright as I do, but I know you're not. And you light skinned as like you biracial. So you think about that. You think about how many people then had these children that came from them, that they disowned, that passed for white, but they knew that they weren't. They just didn't fool with them, period. And you think the mindset is different now? That they done sliced and diced to be able to be comfortable with light-skinned black people when they weren't even comfortable with they almost white kids? Man, get out of here. We gotta let that colorism go.
I'm just free to be what I want. I can embrace Mexican side. I can embrace my black side. I can embrace my Russian side if I want to. I'm not interested in embracing my Russian side.
I'm mixed. I'm Scot-Irish. I'm Creole. I'm diverse. I'm a mixture, a melting pot of different ethnicities, and either you can accept it that I don't want to identify with just African Americans or just Caucasians, or you can accept the fact that I am me.
I am biracial. I am actually Black and Puerto Rican. I grew up questioning what I was.
I would say with my skin complexion, it's always okay. Like for instance, one time I was told I was the prettiest black woman that they've ever seen, and this was by white men. But I don't agree with what they said. I don't feel like my skin complexion should, be the reason why I'm so beautiful. And I felt like the real reason was it's not because my skin complexion is light. It's because my skin complexion is very, very, very fair and close to a white person.
If I'm dealing with let's just say my white family, I know I can't act a certain way, do certain things, speak in certain terms in front of my white family. And it's the same vice versa when I'm in front of my black family. I can't talk about certain things and say certain things and act a certain way because it may be ridiculed vice versa. Right. I might be acting too black to my white people, and I might be acting too white to my black people.
Things that are around you is what you connect with. Your skin may be one color, but I feel as though if you've grown up in that household, the African American household, that Spanish household, that European household, no matter what skin tone you may be, that's culturally you. Right. When I decided that I would claim African American as my culture, is when I started to see how challenged we were.
I would say the reason why I would choose black is because that's mostly where I came from. That's the most background that I know. I just feel, I feel strong. I feel like I've inspired a lot of black women and that I can relate to a lot of black women. And I just feel like that's the side that I would choose.
I would never be ashamed of what side I choose to not pick. I would never be ashamed that I will not pick the African American side. I would never be ashamed that I won't pick the white side, because growing up, that was the stem of all my adversities, all my diversities, all of my downfalls, all of the turmoil that I went through growing up. It was because I was constantly trying to choose a side, but I was put here to not choose. I was put here to be me. I wouldn't have been created in a black and white world to be mixed if I wasn't meant to be mixed.
Drenched means to be soaked or enriched in a substance. The renewable resource crude oil comes to mind when I think of something black, a substance that's created in its raw form, often called liquid gold. Its density is immeasurable, and it's very hard to get to or obtain without digging deep into the soil. This definition is the embodiment of our ancestors, our culture, and our current state of mind. Drenched in black, our greatness comes from creativity, struggle, and survival.
This is Shonda, and I am drenched in black.
This is Jasmine, and I am drenched in black.
This is Lauren, and I am drenched in black.
This is Demetria, and I am drenched in black.
This is Renisha, and I am drenched in black.
This is Anthony, and I am drenched in black. This is Asha, and I'm drenched in black.
This is Kala, and I'm drenched in black.
This is China, and I am drenched in black.
This is Caramanda, and I am drenched in black.
This is Tyra Vance, and I'm drenched in black.
This is Shalana, and I am drenched in black.
This is Ashley Danielle, and I am drenched in black. Because my customer service voice went to Harvard.